Okay, so I think we actually have some options here. We could pick the left side, we could pick the right side. I'm gonna pick the left side. I'm gonna pick the right side and let's just see where we end up. So if you've got this tangent x minus sine x to tangent x, let's look at this in terms of sines and cosines. So you've got sine x over cosine x minus sine x all divided by 2 sine x over cosine x, okay? A lot of times when we have something like this, we end up trying to get a common denominator over here. So this would be sine over 1, right? And we would multiply it by cosine x over cosine x. And in this space, I would write, we used our quotient identities to get here, right? Tangent x, sine x over cosine x. So if we get a least common denominator, that's cosine x, right? We get sine x minus sine x cosine x divided by cosine x, all divided by 2 times sine x, right? Okay, so in this numerator, I do see that I have a common sign, right? Sine here and sine here. So what if we factor that out? 1 minus cosine x divided by that cosine x. Now I can't cancel those, but seeing where this takes us, right? Dividing that by 2, oh, I dropped a cosine x up here. Sine x over cosine x. Okay. That was factor out a sine x. So what else can we do? Well, we've got this kind of double fraction called a complex fraction. So let's take our numerator, sine x, 1 minus cosine x over cosine x times the reciprocal. So I'm going to put the 2 up here with the sign. So the reciprocal would be cosine x over 2 sine x. So that's helpful because we can cancel a bunch of stuff out, right? Cosine cancels with cosine. Sine cancels with sine. And I should write my reasoning in here, right? This is just rewrite as multiplication of the reciprocal. But when we do that, let's look at what's left over, right? 1 minus cosine x divided by 2. Now this is where you kind of just have to pay attention to your identities. On the left-hand side, we've got sine squared x over 2. And again, I don't want them to meet in the middle. I need this to fully transform. But sine x over 2 is much more common for us, right? Where we have this plus or minus 1 minus cosine x over 2. So what would happen if both of those were squared? Well, we would end up with sine squared x over 2 and 1 minus cosine x over 2. So this is, in fact, equal to sine squared x over 2. And again, I'm not trying to meet in the middle, so I'm not changing that left-hand side. I'm showing how the right side is equal to that, right? So this is sub half angle. I did. Okay. See you in the next one.